Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and today I want to show you some ways that you can make faux specimen slides. Some years ago I remember playing with proper glass microscopic slides and using them in crafting, and recently I've thought it'd be fun to do something like that because I came across some of my old glass slides, but I didn't want to use glass in my journals, so I thought it would be a better idea to make some faux specimen samples or microscopic slides. So I'm going to show you today in this video how to do that. I'm going to be making them for this journal. You can use whatever papers you like. I'm using papers from my kit called Vintage Cornflowers, which is an instant download available in my Etsy shop, and I'll provide a link below the video. And if you want to see how I made this journal, I'll pop a little link up in the corner there so you can go and have a look. The final link that I have for you today is to these two free downloadable, instantly printable sheets that are what I'm going to be working with today, and I'm going to make these available free of charge on my website. Just click on my website link atticlane.com, and when you arrive at the landing page, click on the giveaway button at the top and you'll be able to download these. So let me give you some ideas of ways that you can use these sheets. And the first way starts with how you print them. These 2 pages have been printed on normal A4 standard printer paper. This sheet has been printed on transparent paper. Let me just show you how that looks. These are the sheets that I use. I buy these on Amazon. They are transparent tracing paper sheets. There's 135 in a pack and they're quite thick. They're 102 grams per square metre. It's a lovely thick tracing paper, and all I did was run this through my printer and you can see how it turned out. It's also a nice quick way of seeing which of these little bugs you might want to fit into our microscopic slide. Just by rolling the transparent sheet over them, you can see what you'd like to put into those little gaps. And I had a bit of fun. I did some bugs at the top and some butterflies, and on the bottom I did some different things. I just did some little fairies, little angels, and there's a dog in a frock, because who doesn't need a dog in a frock? To cut out fiddly things, I like to use my craft knife, and I store the tip of my craft knife for safety in this wine cork. The other thing that I find easier to do is to cut out the centre of anything before I cut out the outer edges. If you're cutting something from a large piece of paper, it's easier to cut out the smallest section first. You've got more paper to get a hold of to make sure that you keep your fingers safe if you're using a blade. And I've added corners onto these, which you can cut out with scissors, or alternatively, if you have a cornerizer, I never really know what to call them, and if you have one that is 4mm, that will fit these corners exactly. Again, you can just punch the corners out. I've opted to cut out this little fairy figure from my transparent paper print. I'm going to use the blue frame to glue onto the top of it, and then on the reverse I'm going to glue the plain frame. I'm going to sandwich it between those 2 frames like that. Because I've printed this on transparent paper, it does what all good faux slides should do, and it is visible on both sides. I really like that effect. So that's the first one. And this time I'm going to add a tiny little dot of glue to hold each of these slides into their frames, and I'm going to run them through my laminator. I found a small A6 laminating pouch, which is the perfect size, and I'm going to leave a small space around the edge of each of them. I'm not going to cut right up to the card because then I risk the laminator pouch opening up. These have now all been run through the laminator and cut. This one wasn't laminated. This is the one that I printed on transparent paper, and that's how it looks. You can see the image on the other side, and all I've done is glued the top of one of the frames to the image. This shows you that you don't have to use a laminator if you don't want to use a laminator, or if you don't have one. And these ones, when they're laminated, this is how they look. This one was on transparent paper. Again, you can see the image on the other side, and they're all much of a muchness, those ones on the transparent paper, except for this one, which was printed on A4 paper, and obviously it isn't visible on the other side. So it depends how you want it to look really, what finish you want on it, how you treat them. I've got my hole maker, my crocodile here, and I'm going to use the largest hole on the crocodile to just pop out these holes, and I'll be very surprised if this comes out centrally. Not a million miles off. So once you've got a little hole in the top, you can add some string or twine through that and attach it to one of your little Specimen micro slides. I've combined some of my slides with some of these Specimen labels, and sometimes I've added a little hole punch in the top of the faux slides so that I can add the string through the top, and then I've got a couple that are blank. So what if I want to incorporate these into my journal? Here's the journal that I wanted to work with, and I wanted to add these to. So it would be nice and easy just to slip these in, and I've used colours that coordinate with my current journal. I just wanted to experiment with some faux slides and see what I could do, see how I could make them. And I hope that you'll give this a go and maybe include it in your own journaling. They're quite nice little things to tuck away, and of course you can add notes or anything about events onto any of these little Specimen labels. But for me, I'm happy just to tuck them into my journal like this, and they add a nice little extra interest. I'll say thank you very much for your time as always, and until we meet again, stay safe and take care.